And boom, 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 boom. And honestly, you guys, this is my second live video of the day. I did a full hour and a half of the 5-day challenge up super early in the morning. So this is video number XYZ of whatever. Shoot, is it showing the whole sleep audio thing all messed up? My God. Okay, this is ridiculous. All right, I'm going to reset this poll thing real quick on Facebook. This is just ridiculous. Okay. Have you done the sleep meditation audio yet? Yes or no? Okay, we'll ask that in a second. Okay, cool. So today for the replay, we're going to be talking about the sleep audio meditation and potentially extending it into an 8-hour program so that you have something that plays throughout the entire night. There's some opportunity in here to basically, after maybe the 3-hour mark, rather than it being completely silent, what if we put in some like subtle affirmations at that time of the night? This is just kind of something I've been playing around with. Now, trust me, the reason I'm asking is because I've already created it. Partially, this is just to promote it, but at the same time, I do legitimately want to have a discussion and see if people can type in some suggestions, some potentials. Does this sound like a good idea? Does this not sound like a good idea? But we'll basically be releasing the sleep audio with an 8-hour extended version where it's going to be mostly silent throughout the night, but it has a wake-up call that's very soft with bird sounds at about the 7 to 8 hour mark. So you can get full sleep, then be woken up by the sleep audio. So it's a full 8 hours. So anyway, but before we do that, we're going to do our quick breathing session. Just follow my lead. You're going to take a deep breath in through your nose. You're going to hold it for 5 seconds. And then slowly exhale through your mouth. Very good. Okay, good. Awesome. So let's chat. Sleep hypnosis audio. Now, some people have been like, I don't like hypnosis. Is this hypnosis? I don't know, man. You tell me. If there's a woman talking, if Emily is talking, and she says, let's take a moment and start preparing our mind for rest. If you're laying in bed, that's ideal. If you want to get deeper into sleep, then close your eyes and start breathing in and out through your nose. Take a few deep breaths and hold. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to read through a counting sheep process, which is basically 1, 2, 3, the essentials of that. Something that uses a specific visual practice that I know very well. That does help put you to sleep. How much is that hypnosis, though? You know, and what? Even if it was, what does it matter? Somebody on Facebook when I posted it, she's like, "I don't trust hypnosis. I just assume she's from the South." I'm like, what's the worst that's gonna happen? You think I'm gonna put out a sleep audio where it's like, okay, now it's 2 a.m. I want you to start clucking like a chicken. Bok, 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 bok. I'm not going to do that. That's a complete waste of time. So the sleep hypnosis is not that. And I know it says sleep hypnosis, but it's a meditation for the most part. So anyway, so let me ask the poll question. Answer it if you have. That'd be cool. I just want to see, if you've done it or if you haven't. Should show up on the screen here in a second, and it'll just say yes or no. I think left is yes, right is no. I'm going to vote yes. So I've done the sleep hypnosis audio. If you could, just click yes or no. I don't even know if 5 p.m. in the winter time is a great time to do a live video. It doesn't seem like anybody's here anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Okay, cool. So we've got some votes coming in. That's fantastic. Okay, cool. We've got more votes coming in. That's awesome. I love that. Okay, great. So 75% of you right now have listened to it, and 25% of you have not. Okay. So, and I voted in there too. So it's something like 2/3 of you have listened to the sleep audio. So, okay. So now for those who have listened to it, can you type in there, you've listened to that 55-minute audio, the one with the woman speaking Emily. What is your thoughts on that so far? In my opinion, based on the feedback that I've gotten, it's really good, that it does really help put people to sleep. I do understand that some people naturally have a difficult time having anything playing like that's audio. If that's the case, then this, I don't know how, I don't think that sleep audio is going to be helpful. Something else is probably going to be better. I don't necessarily know if I can change the fact that if you have something that's auditorily playing, that it'll not put you to sleep. So if you could write in the chat here, just quickly, what is your feedback so far on the sleep audio? What are some things that you like? What's a good part about it, and what's something that you would like to see changed? Like, I think one area, so the thing that I like about it the most is the combination of the music and the combination of the voice. I think Emily's voice, the voice artist we used for the audio, is really nice. It's really calm. It's really soothing. Puts you right to sleep. So that's pretty much like right there. Yeah, Sarah, you love her voice. Me too. I mean, it's perfect for the purposes of this specific meditation. I think the one area, better with Emily's voice. Yes, calming, good. So Laura, you have been able to listen to the new version. That's good. I know you got to listen to version 1 where I read it, and I definitely could admit where Emily is a much better choice for this, and that's fine. So very calming, good. Now from another point of view, from my opinion, if I were going to make any improvement to the existing 55-minute audio, mine would be probably to slow it down, and I know it very well. So I think the part where she's saying number 1 is tie, a beautiful cotton tie worn around the neck with a piece of fabric tapering from the neck down, widening into a diamond shape, accentuating an outfit with simple stripes or complex patterns, creating the ensemble of an entire wardrobe. That's the description of a tie that she gives. And then she's like, 1 is tie. Now, I think that makes sense. What I would like, if I could make one modification just on that, removing any of that stuff, not an option. That's not going to get out of there. That is factually really good for your memory. And I mean, shit, you're laying down already. You might as well be doing something that's going to make you better and not just fall asleep, right? Because my mom, I learned this from my mom. She goes to sleep with the British baking show playing in the background on her nightstand. So she'll have a little, her little MacBook Air that I bought for her playing in Netflix, and she's listening to the British baking show. And she just likes the voices. So, I mean, I don't think she's going to be cooking British baking pastries anytime soon. So she's getting the benefit of the voices. That's helping her sleep, which is huge. But I don't believe that her mind is being enhanced anyway. With the sleep meditation's emphasis on the counting sheep process, where we do 1 tie, 2 of every animal, Noah's Ark, 3 lawnmower. That's not going to change. But if I could change anything, I would probably give you more time with each of the words to really let you like visually hear it, see it, experience it, and affirm it, and then to pause for more time. The only modification I would make is to have her talk a little bit in more distinct moments and then take longer pauses. That would be if I were going to make a modification, that's the immediate modification I would make, because I think that the part where she first talks about the numbers and all of the mnemonic peg words all the way through 10, I think that goes a little bit fast, and I notice I lose it pretty quickly. So even though I know it. So I can imagine for someone who's never listened to this, be like, what the hell am I listening to? So that would be my feedback. Anybody else? Any feedback besides getting rid of all the stuff? Because that's not going to happen. Because there are other audios where it's just a bunch of gibberish. Like, imagine a petal of a flower falling from the sky, and a raindrop of teardrops falling into the open mouth of a largemouth bass. And it's just like, it actually sounds like a bunch of nonsense. Yeah, okay, so Lori, that's the part I don't like. Yeah, and I understand that. In your case, doesn't seem like you like that. So the reason that's important is because so when you're going to sleep, there's a process that happens, and I posted this data today, is that the most important part of sleep is memory reconsolidation. And the biggest factor that prevents someone from going to sleep is remembering parts of their day or their life that are difficult, right? So it's not that I'm not helping you learn numbers. What we're doing is we're presenting you with a something to occupy your memory during that crucial time of you trying to get to sleep. And if anything, really at the end of the day, it's still just a voice that's speaking. So the content, if you really, really think about it hard, what we know about language is that only 7% of communication is the actual words that are said. So the content of what someone's saying doesn't matter, really. If I were like, yeah, the actual text words that I'm saying, the script that I'm reading, matters for about 7% of what's communicated, that means it's basically nothing. So the words used in the affirmation, wouldn't matter if they were like, you're a beautiful butterfly and you're amazing. And the fact of the matter is that the better the affirmations would be to use descriptive visual language. So it would be, if it were visual descriptive language, it would allow people to visualize it, to see it. That's why the counting sheet process works so well. Let's pause that poll. Get that off the screen. Okay, I don't know, how did you get that poll off the screen? Okay, there we go. So the content is 7%, and then you have a split between the tonality of the voice, and then also communication would be the body language, basically. So since it's only audio, a vast majority of what's being conveyed is just her tone of voice, and that she's soft and calm and relaxing and slow and intentional, and that she doesn't use words that are like aggressive or anything like that. There's nothing about the content that she says that could be misconstrued, except for number 5, which is the law, which is a police officer. But the fact of the matter is that people do go to sleep worrying about stuff that isn't relevant at all. So yeah, anyway, but essentially what I'm saying is, at the end of the day, the actual content of the script is 7% of what's being communicated. The specific words that she's actually saying, like the content and the philosophy behind it, is a small portion of it. For those who are more, how would I say it, heady, people who are more thinkers, deep thinkers, when they're going to sleep, it's really difficult for them to stop thinking. They need something to like problem solve with. So it's definitely a different kind of thing. But you know me, I mean, I'm certainly never going to make content that's going to make everybody happy. That's for sure. Absolutely. So what else? Okay. So that's the first part. Now we have that's about the first 55 minutes of the audio. That leaves about another 6 to 7 hours of potential blank space that can be influenced here, right? So I agree, affirmations would be good. So my thinking here is that once the audio plays for 55 minutes, then it goes quiet, right? Because remember unless you've really intentionally listened to it, you won't know. But the first 30 minutes of the audio is Emily speaking. Those are the exercises that are being done to help you go to sleep. And I've done a bunch of these audios before. For some reason, when I do an audio that just tells me to breathe, I can't sleep. If somebody just keeps on telling me you're going deeper and deeper and you're relaxing further and further and your body gets heavier and heavier, that literally does not put me to sleep. It feels like, when am I going to be heavy enough? Right? It feels like I'm getting closer to something, but I'm never there. It's very bizarre. So there's something with the language of just telling someone that you're getting deeper and deeper into sleep that doesn't work. I don't think it works. I think what works is, I think we have not thought carefully about what we're trying to do with a sleep meditation. That's why this is a radically different designed meditation, where there's an actual thing to engage, to hook some crucial parts of your mind. It's kind of like this, like, part of the reason it's good too is because as we get older, our ability to remember anything will go. And if you're trying to prevent early onset dementia and Alzheimer's, you better know how well you're able to visually remember a few simple peg words. So I think, given that, different brain types need different stuff, definitely. But at the end of the day, nothing like this in particular has been tried. All other previous sleep meditations really strictly focus on, I would indicate as rather probably arguably boring stuff, which is you're getting deeper and deeper and you're getting heavier and heavier. And I do feel deeper and deeper and heavier, but it doesn't put me to sleep. That's the problem. So if anything, you got to make something that works for you first, right? Because I can't speak to someone who's like, oh yeah, when somebody tells me to go deep into sleep, I go deep into sleep. For me, what happens is that I'm so focused on thinking about number 4, rowboat, with a soft underbelly and a lake that's calm and oars being hand rowed and gliding across the surface of the lake. And I'm thinking about a rowboat. I'm literally have no room to think about what I need to do tomorrow. What did I do today? What didn't I do? What do I need to do? Because that's what I think about. If I'm going to bed and it's been a really long day, it's the same thing that probably helps someone go to sleep, which is listening to people describe recipes, right? I think of it fundamentally like, what makes my mom go to sleep when she listens to the British Baking Show? Because it's people using descriptive language. It's people describing a process. They're talking through a problem. I mean, I could probably go to sleep listening to the British Baking Show. I go to sleep listening to like talk shows sometimes. For me personally, if people are giving my brain something to be occupied in, that works for me. But it can't go too far, because one time I downloaded the audiobooks for the Game of Thrones book. So I downloaded the Game of Thrones book, and I literally could not sleep. I gave it my all. I laid down for 4 hours from 10 p.m. to about 2 in the morning, listening intently to the story, the completely non-repetitive story of the Game of Thrones. And I just couldn't fall asleep listening to that. So for me, it wasn't a story-based problem because I could clearly visualize it, but it was like there was too much going on. There was nothing familiar about it. With the sleep audio, I believe that when you listen to it more often and you're familiar with number 1 is a tie, number 2 of each animal, Noah's Ark, 3 lawnmower, 4 rowboat, 5 law, 6 joy, 7 key, 8 feet, 9 pie, and 10 toes, 10 tiny toes, right? Because there's something methodical about it. There's something that's arguably repetitive. There's something visual, memory-based, mnemonic-based, and it does give me something to think about. And I swear to God, and I've tried to find a lot of things. I'm a hard to crack cookie when it comes to, is there something I can play that will arguably put me to sleep that I enjoy listening to? This is one of the first times I found something that can predictably put me to sleep, which I look forward to laying down and with my little speaker, putting it under my pillow and it playing through the pillow. It's beautiful. So, oh yeah, cool. Natalie, good to see you, by the way. Absolutely. I am the same. I can't sleep as I'm thinking too much. Yeah, it does suck. You're right. I have to listen and relaxing, not working with my mind. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, it's like at the end of the day, yeah, I mean, I think there's a fundamentally accurate hypothesis behind the conception of the meditation, which is that some minds like to have someone describing something. They like a soft voice. So Emily's voice hits that too perfectly. So it's descriptive, it's consistent, it's smooth, it's soft, and it's calming. So it hits those factors. So we got that. Now, after that happens, you listen to her talk for 30 minutes. That's all it is. Actually, it's literally 30 minutes of content of Emily speaking. And I mean, basically, if you get past the first 15 minutes, you're already done with any of that memory stuff anyway. What she talks about after 15 minutes is a complete body scan. Think of a golden light going down the top of your head, through your muscles, down your neck, through your chest, down to your arms, cleaning and healing everything it touches, going down to your heart. And then for this meditation specifically, because we have the benefit of knowing about the vagus nerve a lot. So what we describe through the body scan meditation, which you'll never find anywhere else, is her description is every place where the vagus nerve goes is where the body scan meditation takes you. Now, necessarily, it does include your hands and your arms and your legs, which the vagus nerve doesn't go to your fingers and it doesn't go to your toes. It doesn't make it that far, but everything from the head to the groin area, all parts are covered. Every part. Nothing is left out. So that's the body scan meditation. So, again, we have so many hours in the day. We might as well give our brains some opportunity to do something like to learn or to integrate information. Here's the funniest thing. When I can successfully make it through the 10 memory compartmentalization steps, where I say, okay, think of something from your day and store it in association with a tie. So I would think of today, I would probably think of me running my 5-day challenge, but I would see myself wearing a big blue tie on my neck. Even though I wasn't wearing a tie today, I was wearing this shirt and a jacket and my hat. So I would see that. And then the coolest thing is I know that when I wake up, I can immediately ask myself, what was number 1? And I can test how well I was able to integrate into sleep and either remember or forget. I find that to be a really cool feature of the wake up process is if I can like, it's almost like tossing a ball to yourself 8 hours in the future. I'm like, hey, lay up. And I toss the ball, I throw it into the inbox. And if I can remember all of the specific things that I listed right before bed and pick them up right when I'm making my coffee in the morning, because I'll sit there, I'll grind my beans and I'll brew my coffee. And okay, what was number 2? Number 2, Noah's Ark. Oh yeah, I was sweeping the garage because my wife asked me. Okay, so I was seeing a bunch of animals running around, like 2 of each animal running around the garage. I was sweeping because we have guests coming. And so that right there is not only a way to, I'm a big believer in things that test and strengthen at the same time. That's why something like, if you do the basic exercise where you put your hands behind your head like this, and you move your eyes to the right and you move your eyes to the left, and you try to induce a yawn, if you don't yawn by moving left or right, what that indicates is that your vagus nerve connection isn't there. But if you do the basic exercise enough times, you can potentially restore the yawn response. So do you see how in one single practice, one exercise right there, that you can simultaneously test an important function, but the test also works as the practice that improves you. There aren't a lot of things that can do that. Like, if you think of it like this, if I go and I practice a martial art, practicing a martial art isn't the same as actually fighting someone on the street, right? So the only way to get good at really fighting is to really get into a real fight. Now, practicing ahead of time is important, but no amount of practicing fighting in a controlled gym environment is going to help you actually take someone down on the street. You have to have some street experience. So, but you can't just go out and start picking fights with people to say, hey, I'm practicing fighting. It's the same thing with vagus nerve work, which is, there was this game called Lumosity. There's this software called Lumosity. Anybody ever heard of Lumosity? It's this software that was marketed to usually boomers, 50 and up, who were concerned about cognitive decline. And the app, what the app did was it had little games on it. Lumosity. You'd have to pay about maybe $6-7 per month. You'd have an app account, and every day it would send you like a game of Scrabble or like Sudoku or Sudoku. It would have like a, oh, excuse me. Hey, we're yawning. We got some vagus nerve stuff. So it would send you a game, a numbers game, kind of a block game, like, did I just show you a square or did I just show you a circle? And I have a game called NBAC. And their claim was, Lumosity's claim was, is that if you do 5 to 10 minutes of Lumosity every single day, oh yeah, Luminosity, yeah. If you do 5 to 10 minutes of Luminosity every single day, that it will substantially increase your real life mental cognitive performance. That was their claim. That was the claim that got them millions of dollars in sales and subscriptions. Somebody actually went and tested those claims. They said, if someone does Luminosity exactly according to how they say it should be done, are there real practical, real life benefits that happen? They found no such benefit, no such connection. Doing little games on your screen, little phone games where you're like, this red ball goes in this red circle, and this blue ball goes in this blue circle. And this kind of stuff, right? You're doing something. It's no better than playing some video game. If anything, a video game is probably more entertaining because there's a story to it. A storytelling video game on your phone engages more important aspects of memory and cognition that are more relevant to day-to-day life than putting a red ball or a number 1 next to a number 9 to add up to 10. Doing these little 20-48 games, right? Or Sudoku. These do not translate into practical real-life skill. They don't translate into increased cognitive performance. Basically, that's what they found. And so, a lot of people, Luminosity is not really a company anymore because their claims were just debunked. So part of why I like mnemonics is because it utilizes some of the exact same mechanisms that you do use every single day. When you remember a traumatic experiences are memorable because they're visual, they're sensory, they're kinesthetic, they're auditory, they're visual. They have interaction between two things or more. That's out of the ordinary. And that's how you create better memory. So what we're doing is we're playing around with the little Play-Doh, the actual cognitive putty that entails your memory. And everything that you are and every ounce of your being is determined by that domain of memory. So when we sleep, all you're doing is memory work. That's all you're doing. So what we're doing just before you go to sleep with a simple 10-part process is really kind of igniting that fire, lighting that memory spark, activating some of the self-seeing regulatory mechanisms that exist in your brain when you're going to sleep, which is when you're dreaming. Dreams are a domain of meditation. And dreams are the domain of creating associations in memory so you can remember them long term. But yeah. So Sarah, you like brain yoga? Brain yoga is fun. Yeah, I think you should be doing things for the brain, but yeah, you got to be careful with the claims that like doing 1 + 1 = 2 on your phone in the morning is going to like have some substantial improvement in cognitive function. The other thing is, how many of us have heard that if you play chess, you're a better strategist, right? We've all probably heard that saying before. It kind of makes sense, right? Because if you're playing chess, you have to think a couple moves ahead. You have to think strategically. You have to think about the red pieces and the blue pieces and the queen and the king and then the rook and the pawns. And you gotta kind of be a strategist here, right? So naturally you'd think, well, chess translates into life success, right? Well, they also studied that. People who were good at chess, even really good at chess, weren't any better at doing strategies than anyone else who didn't play chess. And unless you've had specific training in this specific thing that you want to get good at, there really aren't many generalized intelligence enhancers that exist, unfortunately. Language, though, is an enhancer. Memory is definitely an enhancer. Testing your ability to recall information. I see your comment, Lori. Thank you. I'm not going to read it just because I'm concerned that Facebook is listening to my feed and it will immediately think something is happening. But we all see it, and it's funny. I think it's hilarious. What does he say? He's playing 4-dimensional chess, I think. So yeah, these kinds of sayings or these kinds of beliefs are not rooted in objective reality and objective fact. So it's rare to find a practice that translates so well into actual day-to-day task sorting. What I have found is that at the very least, doing memory consolidation is extremely therapeutic. For those who may maybe later look into a new field, I think it's by a guy named Bruce Eckert, Eckert, and he came up with something called reconsolidation therapy. and it's memory reconsolidation therapy, which is the entire process has taken psychoanalysis, which is psychoanalysis is an old school form of Freudian based therapy. You do a lot of associative conditioning and deconditioning, neurolinguistic programming, these kinds of things. What he found that the common denominator in cases, I see that. I can see how you say that, Lori. So the common denominator in cases of successful psychotherapy happened because a memory was reinterpreted or reconditioned in a safe way, almost like they took the building blocks of each conditioned memory and they could physically reinterpret and move them. This is the same principle underlying EMDR. And so Lori, so the other thing, so here's the other thing. On some level, I get it. So when you're doing, so we found that, so generally speaking, hypnosis is doing work while somebody is in a hypnagogic state. So there's this thing called hypnagogia, which is where you almost free up the mind a little bit and you're able to have kind of a non-judgmental discussion with your own psyche. That's called hypnagogia. If you can induce a state of hypnagogia, generally speaking, you see people being able to remember more details, to be more visual, to be more creative, and all these kinds of things. And so during the daytime, unless you have a specific time set for that, it's rather difficult to kind of get yourself into a state of hypnagogia. So technically speaking, maybe the best time to be creative, to play with memory, because so the sleep audio doesn't need to be a therapy session. Sleep by default, when you fall asleep and you dream, your body and brain are trying to do some form of problem solving with memory from your childhood, from your adulthood. If you have poor mechanisms for resolving and reconsolidating memory, as Bruce Eckert would call it, then you always can be stuck. So maybe the most ideal, look, life is always about compromising and finding the right balance of when it works, when does it not work. And so I think that once a month therapy, talk therapy, or once every 2 weeks therapy with a therapist who does memory reconsolidation and psychotherapy could be good. But I believe that low grade hypnagogic memory reconsolidation therapy, as what could be what's happening in the meditation audio when you're asleep, when you're going to sleep, can be just as therapeutic, not on a per session basis, but on a long-term scale of a month, 2 months of consistently retraining your memory and your mind and your dreams. Is that over the course of 2 months, either you'd have 60 days and 2 months of nighttime reconsolidation facilitation in the most relaxed state possible, or you go to a therapist, and the therapist, most therapists, I think a lot of therapists are good, but I think a lot of them are not good. And a lot of therapists cannot try to fix you in one session. It makes 0 sense for a therapist to fix you in one session, because if you're paying them $100, they don't make anything. They had to work with you. They had to learn from you. They don't make jack squat if they fix you in one day. So I think this is why there's this proliferation of like trauma-based therapy and deal with your childhood trauma and all this kind of stuff. I mean, I don't know. Some part of me is like, if, again, what did we do a couple weeks ago? We did this mind exercise of let's look at the financial incentives of why is it that certain medicines are, I make you yawn, good. I feel like yawning, and this is the end of the day. This is intentionally a laid back class, right? You see me on the 5-day challenge, day 4 tomorrow. I'm going to be like, yeah, let's go. That's like 11 a.m. my time. It's like calm down for the rest of the day. Yeah. So thinking about therapists is that their incentive for talk therapy is not there to make you better. It's there to keep you coming back for more. So naturally, in therapy, the only time you could technically do it is during the daytime. So we inherently think, well, if any therapeutic work is going to get done, then it should happen in the daytime. What if the best therapy was done at night before you're going to bed? That's why people invented hypnagogia, so that they could put people into a sleep-like trance state to then do their work. And so you would need a therapist, like you would need a really good hypnotist to put someone in hypnagogia in the daytime so that you could still do that memory reconsolidation work. So if you, it's late there, Natalie, it's a lot later there than here. So makes sense. Yawn away. And if you pass out, then that's a win. I don't know if my voice is going to be as hypnotic as Emily's. So if you can, Natalie, we did mention it today in the challenge, day 3. The sleep audio is fantastic. Give that a listen. You go to vegasub.com/sleep. I'll put it here in the chat for people who want to see that, right? If they want to go read there. So vegasub.com/sleep. You click on that. You go to the web page, and it's got an embedded video on YouTube. You just click it. You don't click through to YouTube. You can just play it right there on the page on your phone, and put your phone near your nightstand. Make sure it's plugged in. But it will basically just play through, and then once the video is done, it'll stop playing. Also, there's no ads on the embedded version, so don't click through to YouTube to play it, because if you don't have a paid YouTube account, then you're going to hear ads in the middle of the audio, which another reason why a lot of these sleep audios really suck, because they tell you, oh, we've got like a 10 hours of rain sounds with a meditation teacher speaking, and it's like, yeah, but you've got ads for Doritos halfway through it, so how is that helping? So I figured, while we might not be perfect, we could certainly do a lot better. So that's where that sleep audio came from. So, all right, so that's the sleep audio. That's the first hour of sleep. Then the audio ends, and then there's the opportunity for, I could make it so that the audio is extended out to full, I could make it 8 hours long. So my thinking here, and something that ads wake you up, right? So that's another reason why, yes, it might not be perfect, and you might not like the memory reconsolidation stuff, but memory reconsolidation is happening with or without your consent. Your brain is already doing all I'm doing is bringing things to the surface that are inherently happening right now, and making you aware of a deeper process. And so I think that when our awareness levels rise up, we're more aware of the cognitive machinery in our brain. We have more control over how it happens, right? So I think there's a lot of justification for keeping it in there. So after the first hour, then it's silence. So there's 2 options that I've identified for the middle portion of the audio, the middle center. One is to make it completely dead silent. That's an option. So that the first half of the audio will play for an hour with Emily and then music, and then it'll fade out, and then it's just silent, nothing. The reason there would even be a middle gap is so that it would automatically play through, so that in hour 6 and 7, I could do the third part. So it's really, I'm thinking about 3 parts here. Part 1, Emily. Part 2, blank silence in the middle for 4 to 5 or 6 hours. And then at the end, once the audio plays to the 7-hour or 8-hour mark, is potentially another tail end of the meditation to wake you back up. But very softly wake you back up. Basically to say, okay, so now it's the morning. We're gonna start breathing again, checking in with our body, trying to visualize what the day ahead is going to look like for you. And so I do have an example that I was able to come up with. Okay, so I call this one soft morning sounds. And I'm pretty set on this one being what will happen at 7 a.m. So it's just, when I say 7 a.m., I just mean 7 hours in. If you play it at like 11 p.m., you're going to wake up at about 7 a.m., something like this, right? So 7 hours in the audio, once you've gotten your sleep, slowly the introduction of the sounds of birds, like morning birds, like chirp, 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 like very softly. I do have the ability to do really good audio tuning, so it's not going to like wake you up. You're not going to hear rooster. It's just soft bird sounds from the Pacific Northwest, where I'm from. And then here's what it's going to say. And I want you to give me some feedback. Okay, so good. Thank you for Natalie. This is great. I like that you like that as a potential without having heard it. So here, I'll read you just a couple lines of what Emily would come on and say at that point. So once the audio has been silent for 6-7 hours, then you're going to hear bird sounds very gently. And then she's going to come in and you remember what she sounds like. And she's going to say, "Good morning. This is Emily, your somatic meditation coach. I'm here to guide you to start your day with clarity, energy, and a renewed sense of purpose. Let's begin by finding a comfortable position, whether that's sitting up or lying down. Close your eyes if you're comfortable doing so, and allow yourself to feel the weight of your body sinking into the surface beneath you." So she's basically going to do almost like a morning time body scan meditation, to tell you to take a deep breath through your nose, feel the cool air filling your lungs. So she does this kind of stuff. Then she says, "Imagine the golden rays of the morning sun gently touching your face. Feel its warmth, its energy, its new dawn, a fresh start, and you are at the center of it all. With every ray of light, feel your spirit awakening, stirring, and rising to meet the day. Envision the day ahead. See yourself moving through your tasks with grace and ease. Every step you take is guided by intention." And then this will go on for probably 3 or 5, maybe 5 minutes or so. And she has very long pauses. So it's really going to be like, let's see. So when you're ready, gently wiggle your fingers and toes. Maybe stretch your arms and legs. Slowly open your eyes, letting the world in, one hue at a time. So then it's going to say, "Lastly, thank you for joining me this morning. Remember, today is yours to shape." Okay, cool. Right. So Lori, all right, you like morning Emily. That's fantastic. Okay, cool. So rise, embrace it, and let your spirit soar. Have a wonderful day. And so that will play at about that 7 a.m. Period. Now, cool. So that's the script. And I've already done a sample to generate partially what she says. And it does sound really good. And I found the bird sounds, right? So as I told you guys, I already did, for the sake of my mom, I was like, "Hey mom, could you test this out?" I tried one 2 weeks ago when my mom was visiting. I'm using my mom as a guinea pig, basically, because I'm like, how can I make it so that my mom doesn't need to listen to the British Baking Show? Not like I have anything against the British Baking Show, because I like the show too, but I'm like, if I could find something that she likes listening to a lot more, that could, because the thing is with Netflix, again, it's just endless talking. It's the first part of the talking that helps her get to sleep. But I don't think she needs to hear Noel and Mr. Whatever Wonderful or Mr. Magnificent or whatever the guy's name is arguing about freaking cream pie, okay, at 3 a.m. So it's the first part that's helping her get to sleep. It's kind of that complex cooking description stuff and all that interplay. And a little bit of laughter, a little bit of the music. Dun, 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 dun. So there's music, there's description, there's language, there's voices, all those key ingredients from a baking show for sleep. But then I would love it for it to automatically end. Unfortunately, the way that Netflix works is it'll probably play that for 4 hours until it realizes that she's probably asleep and stop it. So I don't love that. So yeah, so morning Emily, that's the concept. Now, so in practice, because Emily's voice is so soft in the morning and the bird sounds are really, really soft, my thinking of how to implement it is, who here has the alarm go off in the morning and then goes, man, I got it. I want to sleep for another 10 minutes. You put the alarm on, right? Give me another 10 minutes. Give me another 15 minutes. I do that sometimes. So what I did with Emily, so with morning Emily, so there's nighttime Emily and a morning Emily. Yeah, oh, the countdowns of the baking shows are stressful. Yeah, definitely. Oh my God, when they're running around, they're like, okay, bakers, 2 minutes. I mean, that's what my mom is listening to at 2 a.m. is somebody saying, okay, end time. And then somebody like, oh my God, I'm so sad. I screwed up my shepherd's pie. Oh no. I don't know. I mean, it's not bad. It's not like she's watching a action flick or anything like that where there's gunshots, but yeah, so it's this kind of stuff. So yeah, there's definitely something that's better than what she's doing. The fact that she's sleeping, as we know from the challenge, if you're getting 5 out of 5 sleep, that's better than nothing. So that's good, but it's just there's room for improvement here. So morning Emily, what I did with morning Emily, since that whole script of a morning meditation isn't more than 3 to 4 minutes long, what I did is I played the bird audio is like 10 minutes long. So there's a good section of just birds. And again, it's really quiet. So it's almost unnoticeable. I'm not trying to force you awake. I want to gently allow your brain to wake up when you want, because I can't know exactly when to play it. So at the 7-hour mark, it plays it plays the Emily, morning Emily segment, which is all about, maybe it's 10 minutes long, birds and voice included. Then it goes and fades out to silence again. Then 15 minutes later, she comes back on and she goes through the same script again. Because what I believe will happen is that the first 2 or 3 or 4, you might still stay asleep. If you need to wake up at a specific time, you should set an alarm, right? I have an Alexa. So I say, sorry, I shouldn't have said that. I have one of those voice speaker controller things. And I say, hey, voice control lady on the other end of Amazon, set an alarm for 7:15. So that wakes me up. But in that time beforehand, I think having a morning Emily softly kind of set intention. And I do believe that even if you're asleep and you hear Emily saying something like, let's set an intention to nourish your body today. Picture yourself making wholesome choices in what you eat and drink, foods and beverages that fuel your body, giving you sustained energy and vitality, right? So even if I'm dead asleep at 5 a.m, 6 a.m, but Emily says that in my space, right, in my consciousness, I feel like that's going to have a difference. It works like an affirmation would, in a sense. So yeah, that's kind of my thought on that. So I think we're on the same page on 3, on the third part, which is morning Emily. Now, there's one other option, and then we'll wrap up here, right? Don't have to go on too long today. But in the very middle track, in the middle 6 hours, it's totally quiet. It's silent. Nothing happens there. I do wonder if I could use... I have the ability to have Emily come on, but really, really softly, and read out pure affirmations, just affirmation statements. And I have a lot of experience with this. Here's what I did. I recorded my voice listing off affirmations that I thought were important, right? Like, you are the master of your ship, captain of your destiny. Anything that you put your mind to, you can achieve and accomplish. And I would say it like that. And I would read it into my microphone and then play it through a speaker or through my phone throughout the night. And the craziest things would happen. I would be deep in a dream, having a pretty vivid dream with other people that I'm interacting with. And another person out of the periphery of my vision would start speaking those same affirmations. They'd say, you are the master of your ship, captain of your destiny. Anything that you put your mind to, you can accomplish. And I'm like, holy shit, I recognize that. What are you saying? And they just keep on talking. So my brain was assigning the affirmations that were going into my ear from a speaker off to my side while I was asleep, and assigning the voice to another sentient entity character in my dream. And these are powerful moments. So my hope is that maybe potentially I could include just very short snippets, not long, but maybe like a 2-minute little interspersed at random points throughout the night on very low volume, to just have Emily come on and say something like, you wake up every day with a burning desire, an invisible force propelling you to achieve what others deem impossible. Now, these are affirmations that I want to have, right? These are the ones that are like intense for me, because my work is intense. So here, they could be different, right? I'll probably have one that's just for me, because I realize that I'm not my clients. My clients have different needs than what I need. But so I would have something like, your mission is your North Star, guiding you, driving you, pushing you to greatness. And these would be some of the affirmations that just intersperse at random intervals very quietly throughout the night, being sure that they're not at any volume that could wake you up. They're not going to be like, you wake up every day with a burning desire. It's not going to be like that. It's going to be very slow and soft. And here's one. Feel the universe flowing through you. You are a vessel of infinite capability, chosen by destiny. Right? So these are like cool belief modifying affirmations that set kind of a higher mental standard. So this is one that I'm experimenting with. This is where I want, so we'll end this soon, but Natalie, Lori, and whoever else is here, and I think Sarah's probably off now, but what kind of meditations do you think would be good? Do you think, is it too much for you? Because I have heard feedback. One time I had like one affirmation that I had on an audio program like years ago was like something about money. And it was like, my ability to make money is infinite and endless. When I set an intention to create an income, I do all the things that I can, and all the things align to make that possible. And a woman who was in the program who's completely retired, completely wealthy, beyond ever having to work another day in her life, was like, I don't like that affirmation because I don't need to make money. It just doesn't speak to me. I'm like, oh, well, I'm not going to re-record all of that just because you don't like that one meditation or that one affirmation. But so I'm like, yeah. So anyway, if I said something like, you are disciplined, distractions are fleeting, your resolve is permanent. You push boundaries, limits are illusions, you transcend them every single day. So in my mind, it's like if you're going to toss a rock through a very tiny window, right? The affirmation being the rock and the window being the window of consciousness that allows entry into your dream state. You're going to lob like a little tiny rock that is in the peak of hypnagogia, where the windows are down, and you could say anything to your subconscious mind. You could reprogram anything that you think. In my mind, I'm like, let's leverage that to the nth degree. Because what we're really going to see is if I throw 100 rocks, because in the span of 6 hours, I could easily get through 100 affirmations. If all the affirmations are like, you're really cool and people like you, and gosh darn it, if you really put your mind to it, then with enough time, things could probably go your way, right? See, there's a difference between, like, I don't know, what am I going to call it? Midnight Emily or affirmation Emily, something like this. I might even use a British voice. I'm not sure, but I might use a British voice for this. So yeah, anyway, what do you think? If there is an affirmations version, do you mind having just the most like direct, insanely empowering affirmations possible? Or should I try to find things that are like, these are like CEO style affirmations. These will go to people who are running businesses, who are just like, crush your enemy, like this kind of stuff. I'm nothing in here says that, but what do you like? So, oh yeah, no, hypnagogia it's just a state. Hypnagogia is like, do you know the guy Nostradamus? He was a guy from 1500 AD. He was considered to be a soothsayer who could predict the future. Some claim he predicted 9/11. He talked about in the city of York, two tall towers burst into flames like the phoenix on fire. Like, it was very strange how accurate he was at describing events from the future. Okay, cool. So Natalie, I second for positive affirmations, slow and soft. Okay, good. Okay, awesome. See, I'm so glad I asked. I will definitely have a version that's way less Wolf of Wall Street than these. So, okay. These are, I literally went with the intention of collecting these. I was like, write like the most intense, like if you had one night to just get in someone's head and be like you were talking to a soldier and you're like, you got to get out there. You got to take care of business. You got to like do everything in your power to make everything happen. Right. These are those kinds of affirmations, which I personally like, but these are actually more intense than anything Tony Robbins would do. I intentionally selected for something way more out there with those affirmations. So anyway, so Nostradamus, the way that he would make those predictions is he would take a spoon and hold it in his hand, and then on the floor he would put a big metal plate, a dinner plate, and he would hold it, and he would stay up. He would keep himself up till 2, 3, 4 in the morning until he got so exhausted that his eyes would droop, his hand would loosen, and the spoon would drop and hit the plate. This would startle him, so he would be half awake, half asleep in a dreamlike state. He claimed that this allowed him to like pick up on very subtle energy of time dilated effects. Now, there's some physics. There's a physics called retrocausality that states that when an event happens, that there's this thing called the collapse of the waveform. Since it's late, we can talk about this. I feel like we should be smoking pot or something like this at this point in time. We should be getting high, but I don't do drugs, so that's just not going to happen. But if you guys want to drink or smoke or do whatever, hang out, and maybe this is a much more unique time for that kind of a discussion. But retrocausality is the idea that when something in the future happens, so something that has not happened in the future happens, that there's a collapse of the waveform. Because like it's kind of like this. In quantum world, there's the idea that there's two potential options, two things that could happen. One, the towers stayed up that day and the terrorists missed their alarm and they slept in and they didn't get on the planes and 9/11 didn't happen. That's one version of two potential. Obviously, there's many potentials that could happen, but let's just say the towers stayed up or they fell down. The towers falling down is a pretty big reverberation in what we would consider the quantum information sphere in New York City on that day. So if you existed 500 plus years ago and you were in a deep trance-like state, in a state of hypnagogia, self-induced by dropping a spoon on a plate right when that perfect moment hit. And we know that retrocausality is that when something happens in the future, that the waveform collapses with such force that what happens is part of the information of that collapse travels both forward in time and backwards in time. But it's very subtle, but there's no end. Literally, the tail of the information spreads out infinitely. You know how in calculus, if you try to take a line down to the 0 point, the line will never ever touch 0. This is the same thing with quantum information. So you get these little seeps of information literally traveling endlessly through the ether, through space-time, without any limitation. So if you were super tuned in and super in a trance-like state, you could potentially receive the imprint, the echo of 9/11 as Nostradamus 500 years in the past. Or from his point of view, 500 years before an event happened. Because on a quantum time scale, information can travel both forward and backwards in time. That's why it's called retrocausality, meaning events from the future can actually have effects on past events, influencing them so that the event does inevitably take place. So it's weird because if the event took place in the future and it sent the information backwards in the quantum space, it influenced the past so much that it may have made that thing happening more likely in the future. It's fucking mental. This throws up a lot of questions about reality. But at the end of the day, no, just to answer the question, hypnagogia is just a description of a state of mind that puts you into a far more creative state. It's not a bad thing. Definitely not a bad thing. So we definitely want hypnagogia in either way. Emily's voice combined with sleeping, laying down, you're going to be kind of entering into a hypnagogic state right there. So that's important. That's the state we want you to be in. So I think that there's room for affirmations. The room for body scan is there. Body scan's in there. The memory stuff is going to stay for sure. And here's the thing. You know that the mnemonic memory process made an iteration from version 1 to version 2. And the difference between version 1 and version 2, huge improvement. Just even in terms of the descriptive language of each of the numbers. Now, what I suspect is that version 3, 4, and 5, the same structure will exist. I'm only going to build on that structure because there's an underlying neuroscience theory that we're playing with. I haven't explained yet, and I probably won't do that yet, but there's an important process that I'm playing with. And my desire is to potentially abstract completely out of the numbers, but to tell a story, to still tell a story, a nice story, a beautiful story about, a woman, probably because it's going to be catered to a specific audience, is a woman wakes up and goes, and stretches her arms and looks over at her husband, who's already wearing his blue long tie around his neck. He's already dressed for work. And then he gets up and their 2 children are playing with their toy Noah's Ark, right? So that's likely going to be the iterations that do come. But the core thing there is that at the end of the day, I really don't want to tell. I had options, right? One option was I create a fake script for a British baking show and have Emily read it like a radio show. But all that does is just recreates the British baking show. And if we're going to do that, then we could just watch the British baking show. But I do fundamentally believe that if you're going, because you spend 8 hours in bed, in my mind, make something happen, right? Do something that enhances your memory. And visual mnemonic memory is one of the best actually practical skill sets that you can develop that has transferability to all parts of your mind. Like my ability to speak for hours and hours and hours and touch on a diverse amount of subjects is because I have a stream of pictures coming into my mind. And if I need to see for me, from my standpoint, I'm like, this is fucking genius. I'm sorry, but it is absolutely, it's a shame that there's nothing like this that has existed before. And so I'm very, very happy with that design. And for me, I look so forward to listening to Emily every single night. I'm like, it's bedtime. Let's get ready. Let's go. Let's put it on. So I got to throw this on the charger and get it ready for tonight. But yeah, I'll be listening to this. This sounds great. I love just kind of slipping this under my pillow, just like this at night. She plays out of this, and I'm very happy. But yeah, what I am playing around with right now is I am pre-testing what the next iteration will look like for the middle section and Morning Emily. So I like that name. Thank you, Lori. Oh, is it Lori? I think you wrote Morning Emily, which I think is a great name for kind of the description of what that would be. So bird sounds, soft morning meditation from Emily. We'll stick with soft. Everything in here is soft, right? No stress, except I'm absolutely going to push you for your memory when you're going to sleep. That's my request. And if you don't like it, you don't have to do it. But it's the best, and it comes with, it's like, I'm going to give you what you want because it's Emily's voice, but I'm also going to give you what I believe you need. And that's the thing about me, is that I will always push to give people what I believe they fundamentally need to succeed. And hey, man, it's always an uphill battle. Trust me. So anyway, okay, cool. So that's it. We'll end it there. Thank you guys so much for watching on this longer video. I will see you again tomorrow for day number 4 of the 5-day challenge. So I'll see you tomorrow, Saturday, at the usual time. If you don't know what the hell I'm talking about with the 5-day challenge, it's already too late. You already missed it. But I know, Natalie, you are in that, so I look forward to sharing that and all that fun stuff. Go check out the sleep audio. I'm going to put that in the chat one last time. We sure as heck spent enough time talking about it. Now it's time for you to go and try it. Go experiment with it. Go listen to it. Okay? All right, cool. Natalie, good to see you. Good to see you, Lori. Thank you guys for all of the feedback. This has been very helpful. Very interesting. And with that, we'll hop off and have a great rest of your night. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.